Every article I have read talks about you and a divide with the conservative movement over two issues. I want to deal with.
I read about it.
You saw it once in a while?
Yeah,
and it has to do with immigration and Common Core. So let's directly deal with this. Now, you said, yeah, they broke the law. It's not a felony. It's an act of love. You also said that you support a pathway to citizenship. And when you were governor, two other things. When you were governor, you supported driver's licenses for illegal immigrants, and you supported in-state tuition prices for those children of illegal immigrants that weren't citizens. Wait a minute, hang on. I want to give you an opportunity to address that.
Sure. So, on immigration, I wrote a book about this, and instead of people opining about what I believe, they might want to read the book. It's called Immigration Wars. You can get it on Amazon for probably $1.99. It's probably deeply discounted. And in that book, I talk about, first and foremost, the need to enforce the borders. A great country needs to enforce borders for national security purposes, public health purposes, and the rule of law. First and foremost, we have to do that. Secondly, we need to narrow family petitioning so that it's the same as every other country, spouse and minor children. Not this broad definition of spouse, minor children, adult siblings, and adult parents that crowds out what we need, which are economic-driven immigrants. Those that want to come here to work, to invest in their dreams in this country, to create opportunities for all of us. And that's what we need to get to. And so and the plan also includes a path to legal status. I have not seen anybody, and I know there's disagreement here. Some of these people are angry about this, and look, I kind of feel your pain. I was in Miami this morning. It was 70 degrees. So the simple fact is, there is no plan to deport 11 million people. We should give them a path to legal status where they work, where they don't receive government benefits, where they don't break the law, where they learn English, and where they make a contribution to our society. That's what we need to be focused on.
Okay. A lot of reaction. Let me do a follow-up. We had Senator Rubio, a friend of yours from Florida, and I asked him the same question. We always hear about spending cuts and tax increases. We always end up getting the tax increase. We never get the spending cut. The Congress has tried comprehensive immigration reform, and it has failed. We now have a crisis going on with the Department of Homeland Security, the President's executive orders. My question is, why not secure the borders first, once it's verified, secured?
Let's do it.
First.
Let's do it, man.
And then talk about...
I mean, so instead of having a political argument about this, the President did use authority he doesn't have. The courts are going to overrule that. I've been consistent about that. Let's control the border. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what a great nation has to do. There's nothing that holds back the Republicans to put a comprehensive plan in place to do that. But the simple fact is, this nation needs to start growing at a far faster rate than we're growing today. We have to be young and dynamic and aspirational again for all the young people in this crowd to be able to get a job of purpose and meaning. We need to begin to change the subject to high sustained economic growth.
Let me ask, I don't want to spend all our time on immigration, but I want to go through some yes or no scenarios with you. Number one, for example, do you agree with conservatives that say Congress should not pass a Homeland Security funding bill that would fund the president's illegal and unconstitutional amnesty?
I think the Congress ought to pass a bill that does not allow him to use that authority.
And they should stand their ground?
Look, I don't know. I'm not an expert on the ways of Washington. It makes no sense to me that we're not funding control of our border, which is the whole argument. I'm missing something. So I'm not an expert on that. The simple fact is the President has gone way beyond his constitutional powers to do this, and the Congress has every right to reinstate their responsibility for what law is about.
Yes or no? 100,000 people came from Central America. We all watched over last summer.
Right.
Should they be sent home?
I thought they should have been sent home at the border, to be honest with you, because it would have created... Here's the deal. The humanitarian thing to do would have been to consistently say from the beginning, don't risk your lives crossing as young people. Don't pay the gangsters in Central America money from your family members in this country to come all the way across and just get into the country and be processed. And now with our broken system, it may take 3 or 4 years to even begin to process them. Send a clear signal that this was a dangerous thing to do and a wrong thing to do, and it would have stopped the flow. We did that as it relates to in Miami, in Florida. That was exactly what Bush 41 did as it related to Haitians, and it stopped the flow of people, and people didn't lose their lives trying to come to this country.
Let me ask you this, okay. I mentioned this earlier when I had an opportunity to speak to this great crowd here, and that is, right now at this point in the country, at this moment in history, we have 50 million Americans, nearly 50, in poverty, nearly 50 million Americans on food stamps,
Yep.
the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s. I want you to connect it to immigration. Shouldn't Americans have the opportunity for those jobs first? You say go to the back of the line.
Yeah.
No, but if they go to the back of the line, they still get to stay here and compete for those
Sean,
jobs that are available.
Sean, here's the deal.
Yeah.
You either believe that the pie is static, that's the left's point of view, and many on the right don't agree with that, but by their policies, they imply it. And therefore, we're splitting it up. Someone's benefit is someone else's detriment. I believe that what we ought to be focused on is growing the economic pie, and growing it at a rate that looks more like the 80s in America. Growing it closer to 4%, not 2%. If we stay in this anemic economic rate, then your argument becomes valid. But if we grow at 4%, there's going to be opportunities for all. It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
That's not how Republicans and conservatives think. We don't think that it's just all about the government divvying it up for us to get our crumbs. We believe we should pursue our dreams as we see fit, and the more people doing it with the capacity to achieve earned success, the more economic growth will take place for all of us.
My last question on immigration is going to be, as governor, do you stand by the decision, driver's licenses for illegals?
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. You tried. And the other decision about in-state tuition breaks for children.
I do. In fact, that was the in-state tuition was passed this year.
All right.
By one of the most conservative state legislatures, I might add, and a conservative governor, signed into law this last year.
Let me ask you the second big issue.
Not by me.
That always comes up when you read about Governor Jeb Bush is the issue of Common Core. It was interesting. I didn't know until I was researching you that you were the first governor to institute vouchers in the country. It was eventually overruled by the Supreme Court of Florida, but you were the first governor to allow a voucher system. I think a lot of conservatives believe in vouchers. I want you to address the Common Core issue.
Well, I'll do it in the context of comprehensive reform, because high standards by themselves aren't meaningful. They're helpful. They're better than lower standards, but by themselves, if there's no accountability around this, if there's no consequence between mediocrity and failure or excellence, then the system won't move forward. In Florida, we took a comprehensive approach. Yes, we did have the first statewide voucher program, and we have more school choice in Florida, both public and private, than any state in the country. And we have the largest virtual school. We have the largest corporate tax scholarship program. We have 30,000 students that if their child has a learning disability, they can take the dollars, the state and local dollars, and send them to any private school of their choice. We have all of that, and that's improved public schools. Right. We eliminated social promotion in 3rd grade, which was a pretty difficult thing to do. We did all of this, and we raised standards. And my belief is our standards have to be high enough where a student going through our system is college or career ready. And that's not what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Is Common Core a federal takeover?
No, and it shouldn't be. And here's where I think conservatives and myself, all of us are deeply concerned with this president and this Department of Education. There's a risk that they will intrude, and they have as it relates to race to the top. What we should say quite clearly in the reauthorization of the K-12 law that is just, I think it may have actually been on the floor in the House of Representatives today, is to say the federal government has no role in the creation of standards, either directly or indirectly. The federal government has no role in the creation of curriculum and content. The federal government should have no access to student ID or student information. That the role of the federal government, if there's any, is to provide incentives for more school choice. Take the Title I money and the IDEA money, and if states want to innovate with their own programs, give them the money to let them create their own programs. That is a better approach.
Yeah. I want to give you an opportunity